want to call to order this meeting of the Alton Area School Board, February the 16th, 2021 at 7:25 p.m. And I'm going to ask you to stand for a moment of silence in the Pledge of Allegiance. And I just wanted to bring to your attention, over the last few months, we've lost several members of the Alton Area School District family. Please join us in a moment of silence in memory of school bus van drivers, George Swander, August 4th, 2020, Jeffrey Arpino, December 8th, 2020, Edmund Danielle, February 9th, 2021, former AAHS business education teacher and current substitute teacher, Jean Lane, February 4th, 2021, and just recently, Ebner Elementary student, Kaylee Cruz, February 12th, 2021. So if we could stand for a moment of silence and pledge. And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Could we have roll call, please?
Mr. Baker.
Here.
Mrs. Bream.
Here.
Mr. Francis. Mr. Hoff. Mr. Hoover.
Here.
Mrs. Irwin Adams.
Here.
Mr. Johnston. Mr. Cruz.
Here.
Dr. Malloy.
Here.
Thank you. I would like to announce that we had an executive session this evening at 6 p.m. regarding personnel. Is there any hearing from citizens? Okay, we will move on. Board recognition.
Good evening. Tonight, we want to recognize our school board of directors. January is traditionally School Board Director Appreciation or Recognition Month. We chose this week, this meeting, because this was our first in-person meeting. And we wanted to make sure that we said thank you to our board of directors. Pennsylvania Public Schools educate nearly 2 million students, and 7,200 of those students attend Altoona Area School District. Mr. Baker, Mr. Hoff, and Dr. Malloy have served 1 year, although Mr. Baker and Dr. Malloy have an extensive background also in public education. Mr. Cruz, Mr. Hoover, and Mrs. Irwin Adams have served 3 years to date. Mr. Johnston and Mrs. Bream had served 9 years to date, and Mr. Francis's service years total 25. According to PSBA, school directors devote an average of 6 to 10 hours per month on school business. That may be true under normal conditions. However, the added challenges of governing during a pandemic have greatly added to that average. In your bag in front of you this evening, you'll find a small token of appreciation from all of us at the district. It includes a Mountain Lion logo cookie that represents the arts and the academics. And you'll also have a big A cookie in there as well, representing athletics. In addition, there's a small planter box that reads, "Working, Growing, Succeeding Together." This is a small reminder of the important role the school board plays in ensuring a quality of education for all students while building a better future for our community. So for that, we want to take time to say thank you. We recognize your efforts. We recognize that nobody could have prepared you for the pandemic and the decisions that you've had to make over the past year and continue to face. And we all recognize the challenging decisions those are. So thank you for your time and effort.
And thank you, Paula. Okay, moving on. I need a motion and a second for the contract only. It does not include evaluation or goals set for the superintendent.
So moved.
Okay, but it is for a 3-year period beginning August 1st, 2021, extending through July 31st, 2024. Any comments? Any questions?
I'd like to comment.
Before I vote on the superintendent contract, I'd like to read a statement that I prepared thoughtfully. I cannot support renewing Dr. Priatel's contract because he has not performed or fulfilled the duties outlined in his previous contract. There is a wide variation on his performance evaluation as to whether he met standards, so it's hard to extend a new contract without having goals in place. The following are examples of performance shortfalls. Board communication and relations. Consistency is essential. All board members are not given the same amount of information on issues, and a chosen few receive personal phone calls regarding hot topic issues. Number 2, responsible for maintaining positive professional relationships. Somebody in the role of superintendent of a school district of our size has to be able to maintain composure and professionalism in all areas. And I have personally witnessed times when he has been unable to maintain his composure and is too reactionary. Number 3, responsible for organizing, supervising, and arranging the administration and supervisory staff. Protocols are in place for hiring and promoting staff that are not being adhered to. Promotions and title changes are being made without board notification or approval. The superintendent sets the tone for the district, and as a board member, it's my responsibility to make sure that we have the proper person in this leadership role. I think that we need consistency, professionalism, and leadership, and for those reasons, I am not supporting the renewal of the contract.
I'd like to just throw my 2 cents in. When I first got on the board, there was a subject of this building. And the good doctor and I butted heads almost every time we ran into each other. And even though I still think this building, as gorgeous as it is, just exceeds our needs. But the doctor and I argued and argued. And we asked the doctor to do some things last year for the budget, to trim the budget by $3 million. And he did. And we almost could have had a balanced budget. But unfortunately, the pandemic came and everything went haywire. And may I say, during the pandemic, the doctor has done a yeoman job of keeping this district afloat. He and his assistants have done a marvelous job. So I know everybody has a personality conflict and everybody has a dislike or a like for someone. I think that Dr. Priatel right now has shown that he could lead the district for the next few years. And he has all my confidence, and I'll back him to the hilt. And I know that we'll disagree. And I'd like to add, I don't get the only updates I get from the doctor is on Friday, probably like most board members. I don't get calls. Trust me, when he and I were butting heads over this building, we didn't get calls. We didn't do anything together. We didn't even say hello. But the things are that, things change, people change. And we have to support and stand behind the good doctor and in his endeavor for the next few years. Thank you.
And I'd like to make a comment that I did have 42 years experience working just in the Altoona Area School District. And during that time, I did work under a number of superintendents. The most longest tenured superintendent was Dennis Murray, and he and I, he was the superintendent, I was one of his assistants. So I got to see the things that superintendents do. And I will tell you that Chuck Priatel gets the job done. I've only been on the board 1 year, but during that time, we've had this terrible pandemic, and it's changed our lives in many, many ways. And we've had some very, very tough decisions to make as a school board, but under Dr. Priatel, we had options. We had an excellent virtual program. The district established its own cyber program. The face-to-face instruction that many parents and even some board members were pushing so hard was just hard to get the board to agree upon because of our concern for safety, not only of the children, but also of our entire staff. So we've gone through some really tough decisions, and under Dr. Priatel's direction, those decisions have been able to be successful. And I'd really like to congratulate him for the great job he's doing. I think all board members certainly have the right to their opinion, but my opinion is very positive of Dr. Priatel.
Well, if we're all going to weigh in, I'll weigh in next. Once again, we're in the middle of a pandemic. I was one of those people that voted for the new school. I never once got a personal call or any influence whatsoever from anyone in the administration, including the superintendent. That was my decision and my decision alone after I looked at all the factors. And I just want to say this. Now is not the time for a school district to be out looking for a new superintendent. Do I want to go to a ball game and sit next to Chuck? Well, sure, maybe. But do I want him as the superintendent? The answer is yes, because of the way, like was brought up before, we gave him several things to do. We said, cut money, cut money, cut money. He cut money, cut money, cut money. We said, get this going. He got this going. Now we're in the middle of a pandemic and they're handling it. And by the way, the congratulations goes out not only to Chuck, but goes out to the administration and obviously the teachers and every employee that it takes to make this district run. They're all doing the yeoman's job. So if we're all going to weigh in, I'm simply saying, I'm glad that we have Mr. Priatel as a leader right now. And I'm glad that we're going forward as a school district.
Anyone else? Okay, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Baker,
Yes.
Mrs. Bream,
No.
Mr. Francis, Mr. Hoff, Mr. Hoover,
Yes.
Mrs. Irwin Adams,
No.
Mr. Johnston, Mr. Cruz,
No.
Dr. Malloy.
Yes.
Passes 5-4.
Okay, thank you.
Congratulations.
Moving on, the AAEA tentative agreement. Can I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Okay, any discussion?
I have a discussion. Hello?
Go ahead, Ed.
So this is for the teachers agreement, correct?
Yes.
I feel that if we are going to give the teachers this agreement, that everybody who took a pay freeze in the complete school district should get a raise also. When we talked to them about a pay freeze, it was under an agreement that everybody would take a pay freeze. So if we were offering the teachers a raise, I suggest that everybody that took a freeze also gets that pay increase.
Okay.
I agree. I'd like to just say before my vote, before one of my other colleagues say it, my daughter is a member of the association and she's a teacher. And unfortunately for her, that some people attack her because of me. And it's unfortunate, but I'm going to say I'm going to vote in favor of this contract. And I just want to make it known that my daughter is a teacher and she's taken more heat than what she deserves because of her father. And whoever's doing it, and I have an idea who it is, please don't attack her, attack me. Thank you.
And I just like to say that everybody has worked extremely hard during this pandemic, and everybody certainly deserves to be recognized for the hard work. And I think also our appreciation for what they do. Teachers are the backbone of our school district. And not only teachers, but all the staff, all the teacher aides, the administration, cafeteria workers, maintenance custodians, bus drivers. This is the backbone of our district. We need to say thank you. Teachers have gone through this year working very hard. I think recently that many of them sent us letters and they were basically saying, we want to be appreciated. We feel that you don't respect what we're doing. Believe me, many on this board do respect what you're doing. I hope all on this board respect what you're doing. You do a great job day in and day out. Children are certainly our future, but you have this great opportunity to touch that future. And you're doing a tremendous, tremendous job. And we're very grateful for what you do for the school district. So thank you.
Anyone else?
Well, obviously, I'm going to weigh in and say the same thing. Talk to teachers every single day. I'm one of the people that went around and talked to teachers in the actual education system, went to see them at work and talked to them about their jobs. The one thing I found out when I went in to meet with those teachers was I had no idea what a teacher does. I assumed, but I'm not a teacher. I assumed what they do. I found out for real what a teacher does, and everything they do is not encapsulated in a title of a teacher. And as far as that goes, with all our employees, including the police and everybody else, this is our school district. We are the board of directors. We simply guide things. We make our recommendations. The people that implement these policies are the frontline troops, and that includes our teachers, our SCAs, our janitors, our principals, all the people involved, including our police department. So I think it's time that we start showing, and I understand people say we appreciate it, but you don't tell someone you appreciate them and then tell them to shut up and not take a raise. So obviously I'm in favor of this contract, and I think we got the greatest teachers in Pennsylvania, let alone in the country. So that's going out from me to them.
I guess I have a question again.
Go ahead, Ed.
I would like to know if we are going to approve raises for every employee in the school district that took a pay freeze.
That's not part of this agreement.
Are you in favor of that, Ed?
Yes, I'm in favor of it. I think that everybody that took a pay freeze under the understanding that the entire school district was going to take a pay freeze. So since that didn't happen, I believe everybody that took a pay freeze should get their increase also.
Then you have to have hearing, since it's something new, you have to have a hearing from citizens. You have to open up to the floor, don't you, to the public?
We
So
would
is
have,
anybody's friends here?
Do we have to make the amendment first?
there
to
would
the-
have to be a
No, I
motion.
mean, you have to have someone from the public
I-
to discuss it.
I'm in favor, but I'd want to see numbers, just like we saw numbers
Yeah.
with this.
If you want to do it next board meeting, that's fine, because I agree with you as much as I do.
But my problem is, if we're not going to do it, then I'm not happy about giving a raise to the teachers. I think it's fair to everybody. I want everybody to be fair. And the reason that we were holding out on the teachers is because everybody agreed to a pay freeze. And that's what I thought was going to happen.
Where did you get, we were all in agreement, everyone was going to get a pay freeze? Because I was never in agreement with that, Ed.
I'm not talking
Was
about
that-
board, I'm not
that
talking
you and
about
your
board
friend, Ed?
members. I'm not talking about board members. The other Act 93, the ASME union, they all took a pay freeze. And I think it was their understanding that everybody in the school district was taking a pay freeze. That did not happen. So I would like everybody to receive a raise.
Wow, all right, there you go, Ed, finally.
But that's not part of this motion. That would have to be a separate motion.
I would think it would require negotiating with each of the units. I mean, you just can't say a pay raise. Is that a penny? Is that $1? Is that $1,000, a percentage? That's why we negotiate with our different groups.
Whatever the teachers are getting.
It used to be in the Act 93 and in the central admin contract that they would get what the teachers got. So, I mean, I don't know, is that still in there?
It was, I think the agreement was they didn't want to piggyback, so especially on the healthcare. But I think that could be done at a different day. But today we have the teachers' agreement on the agenda. The others, I would think, would require negotiating, because you just can't say you're going to give a raise. You would have to negotiate a raise.
So any more discussion on the tentative agreement with the AAEA?
Take that down. The numbers were very specific with the teachers group. We know exactly what the financial numbers are as raised by Mr. Baker. There was also 4 other items that were attendant with that overall package. And if you were asking, I would just let the board have another executive session, let the administration do its homework and bring numbers back for consideration of the full board in executive session. But don't delay, the view of that. And I would try to do it as quickly as possible. But I agree, the current motion here is voting this up or voting it down, as was approved by the association. You have all the specifics as to what that really amounted to. And you also have a good idea within about $10,000 what that total amount of money means as it relates to the budget.
Well, and I would think it's now incumbent on me, after Mr. Cruz made the statement, I thought I thought everyone was going to agree to take a pay freeze. And I would like everyone to know I am not agreeing to anyone taking a pay freeze. I was not involved in any of that conversation. Therefore, I am not part of that cabal.
Well, I agree that our teachers have done a fabulous job and have been adaptive and have done everything that we've asked them to do during this pandemic. And I also agree with Ed that the entire staff has done a fabulous job. And I think that if we're giving the raise to the teachers, that everyone deserves it, because it's taken an entire community to get us through this pandemic.
Anyone else?
Well, just real quick, we're not giving them anything. They have earned every single penny.
Could we have a roll call vote, please?
Mrs. Bream,
No.
Mr. Francis, Mr. Hoff,
Yes.
Mr. Hoover,
Yes.
Mrs. Irwin Adams,
Yes.
Mr. Johnston, Mr. Cruz,
Yes, with the hope that everybody gets a raise.
Dr. Malloy,
Yes.
Mr. Baker.
Yes.
Passes 8-1.
Thank you. Moving on. Could I have a motion for the minutes? We have the January 14th special board meeting minutes, the January 19th regular board meeting minutes, and the January 26th special board meeting minutes. Can I
So
have a-
moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to the Finance Committee, the Finance. List of payments, financial reports, Provine School Pitcher contract, and the Meadows Psychiatric Center LOA. Can I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any questions, concerns?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
The Ebner modulars, we're still paying on them, so I'd like to see them being removed from us paying on them on this. I know the sewer for sure. My other question is, we wrote a check 118488 to Pittsburgh School District for almost $21,000. I was wondering what that was for.
There's a placement in Pittsburgh, I believe it's New Day. It's a facility there, and Pittsburgh Public Schools provide the education, and we have to pay them for providing that for our students who are placed there.
That's accurate. We get county placements and others that we are still required to pay the educational piece. This was one of those.
And then check 118613 for the D'Antonio House. I just want to remind, I hope we're keeping track of the cost of that house and we're getting paid back.
Okay, I have a question on the tax collection, the January of last year and January of this year. real estate, the total went from 205 up to 525,000. What would be the reason for that?
It's primarily timing differences because we extended the due dates of the taxes. So actually, our taxes were short in the prior year because we extended the due dates.
Okay. And then on the mercantile and business privilege, and of course the earned income, they're all down. And I'm sure that has to do with COVID and the workplaces being shut down.
It does.
But we're pretty close year to date on our numbers. There's only, actually we gained 111,000.
Yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic. May is going to be the month that's really very telling. That's when the due dates are for final mercantile business tax returns.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to education. The senior waiver due to COVID-19, volunteer approval, and California University graduate student research study. Can I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions, discussion? I just have one question on the senior project waiver. Is this something that we have to do because they don't have time, or?
It's one of the provisions we put in place last year. We will still be doing senior projects. However, we are asking for a waiver as it being a graduation requirement, which is under current evaluation system and board policy.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to personnel. Can I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion, questions?
It up, it better reflects what their duties are. We have, like Susan had a title that was longer than my arm, so we trimmed it back and made it more specific. We shifted, no change in duties, but the titles fit what their actual duties are.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm a no on E1.
What was that, B1? E1, I'm sorry.
Edward 1.
Okay, motion passes. Business operations. Repository bids, bus garage, fuel island terminal, managed print services request for proposal, and garbage removal and recycling request for proposal. Can I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions, concerns? Now, the managed print, that's for copiers, correct?
It's a copy.
Our current agreements up here shortly. Okay. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Facilities and maintenance. Capital projects, list of payments. Capital reserve, list of payments. Underground storage tanks. Flashing installation at Ebner Elementary. Can I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any questions?
The underground storage tanks, I know that fee was $23,000, and that was including putting the new ones in. That was a week ago. Did we get revised costs?
not gotten revised costs on that. We're still waiting for non-researchers costs. But again, we stated this as a not to exceed number, and we will do that before we kick the project off.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. New business. Final agreement in lieu of FAPE. School district calendar 2021-22 Lex stretch calendar. Memorandum AAEA COVID and side letter agreement ESPOP. Can I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions?
Oh, yes, I have a question. Sorry. How can we give a push to get the teachers vaccinated? It's all across the state.
Well, what we're doing is we have contacted all the major hospitals. We are working with Bill Thompson and Value Drug. Both Thompson's Pharmacy and Value Drug have been taking care of our A1s. We can only get our A1s vaccinated until the federal and state give us the approval to go to 1B. But of our 330 1As, we only have 175 left to vaccinate. I've had conversations with the major players at the three major hospitals, and my hope is they're all requesting vaccines for us. The question is who gets them. Whoever gets them, that's where we're going to go. So, I mean, right now, Nason has run several major events, and Conemaugh has run several major events. So I talked to Tim Happerod about that specifically, and he has our information, and he's actually putting us in for both the Johnstown facility and Nason to see if he can get us into the allocation and get us vaccinations, as are the other professionals that we're working with Empower, with St. Gates, and the other hospitals in the area.
That's good. That's good, because teachers want to come back. They want to be vaccinated. So whoever we get a hold of, give our politicians a push, or Department of Ed, let's get them vaccinated and get them back to school.
I have been in conversation with Judy Ward. I've been in conversation with Lou Schmidt, talking to Jim Gregory. The problem is the getting the vaccines to be available. But you're absolutely correct. We need to get everyone vaccinated. We have been focusing our 1As. We have focused on our most at risk, dealing with our self-contained special ed classrooms, our transportation, our bus drivers, and really just working our way through that list. And hopefully we'll have at least as many as we had last week. And hopefully one of the hospitals will be able to get us a major coverage so that we get all the 1As done. And then if we get enough vaccine, hopefully the 1Bs will be shortly behind.
That's good. I'd like to add on to that, the teachers, bus drivers, custodian, personnel, staff, the whole shebang.
Any employee of the district.
Absolutely.
We've 22% of our 901 have received their first dose, with 172 of our 1As remaining that still need their first dose. And I know I've talked to a number of other locally. They're traveling to Lewistown. They're traveling 2-3 counties away just because they're available and they're able to get into pharmacies. They're able to get into some other providers. But it's simply a matter of availability in our region right now. So I know we're working diligently to any available vaccine we're jumping on right away.
Can you share with us?
Did any of our veterans take advantage of the VA?
We only had a handful of veterans, and some of those didn't qualify because they had to be active. There were some requirements that we were not aware of until we made contact, where they had to have a period of active duty. But we did reach out to every one of our qualifying veterans, yes.
And we did I want to say that we got the majority in who qualified, but again, it's an availability issue, and it's making sure they meet all the prerequisites. Kelly, you got a question?
Do we have a percentage on teachers that want to be vaccinated? You said you have 22% that have been, or not teachers, staff, I guess, as well.
Total staff was 901, that indicated. So of that 901,
Oh, okay, sorry.
22% have
We
received their
have-
first dose.
We have 1,150 employees. Of the 1,150, 901, approximately about 75%, have said that they, actually over 75%, more like 78%, have said they want to be vaccinated, which is fantastic because the average is 50 to 60%. Of that 901, as you said, we have 200 and some. We have 22% of that taken care of, so approximately 190 have been vaccinated. It's just making phone calls, keeping people aware that we have a need. We have been updating lists. We've added people to the COVID list. We've subtracted people off as they have been vaccinated. It's just a matter of constantly, in as polite a way as possible, just reminding people, hey, we're here. We have people who need to be taken care of. Can you help us out? And it's worked okay. Obviously, we're waiting for a big break, something that really is gonna come through. To be honest with you, we're in the same boat as everybody. Tyrone did a real nice job for Tyrone School District, Tyrone Hospital did, and they did a little bit for Bellwood this week. Of course, I was on the phone with Anna, who's the CEO of Tyrone Hospital this morning, to ask her, to get us into that list because, maybe they'll have a spot sooner. It's a matter of casting the line to as many ponds as we can with the hopes that we're going to catch 20, 30, wherever. And it's working to some extent. It's just, we just need to do everything we can and hopefully it's going to break.
And just to follow up on your question, Dave, they had said initially that anybody that was part of the VA could be vaccinated, but then they found out that was incorrect information. They had to qualify for that 1A category. So it wasn't anybody that belonged. So.
It's the 1A plus they had to have, was it 186 months in combat or 6 months active duty?
I forget the exact number, but there was a percentage of time that they had to serve in active duty in order to qualify.
Right. It couldn't just be a reservist.
Well, I'm understanding there's supposed to be a meeting next week with the FDA. Another drug is coming online that doesn't require the refrigeration and only requires one shot.
That's the Johnson & Johnson.
Yes.
And I'm all for the Johnson & Johnson, but it's also going to take some time to ramp that one up too. Right now, I know that everything that we've seen has been Moderna. I just want to get people vaccinated.
Right.
So we're not going to be picky. If
Right.
somebody says Pfizer, I'll take Pfizer. If somebody says Moderna, we'll take Moderna. It's just a matter of getting available shots.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Committee reports. Anyone have anything to report from their committees?
I just want to repeat this. I want this to be out. I am positive right now. I am very positive, and the only reason I'm positive is because I believe that we have truly come together and we are addressing this issue. I'm glad that people are getting vaccinated. I truly see an end in sight to all this, and we can get back to some normalcy. But I appreciate the community support. I love the fact that our teachers, our administrators, and all our employees have buckled down and done this. Ladies and gentlemen, there is an end in sight. And I, for one, am very glad and hopeful that very soon we can get back to a normal way of life, and our students can as well.
Okay, anyone else from the committee? Okay, moving on. For information only, payment of credits, professional contracts, capital projects, facilities committee summary. Okay, no one here from the employees union? Solicitor?
I believe we covered virtually everything in executive session, but once again, the CDC is outlining that there may be some additional changes. As we know, we have a change in the presidential administration. There may be some other things coming down, but the key is to get everybody vaccinated. And we'll do additional client alerts and additional educational law reports covering those topics. Thank you.
Okay, and superintendent report?
I'd like to say thank you to the board, to the public Today we had a little bit of confusion, and I apologize for that. With the 2-hour delay / virtual, we will make sure the information is very clear and it's put forward. This is the first time we've done a virtual day for the sake of snow day ever, which means that we're not going to lose off our Easter break. We're not going to lose off our summer vacation. At the same time, there was some confusion this morning, and I appreciate everyone's cooperation. I understand that any issues with attendance, you needs to go to the building principal, but no child will be penalized if there was an issue because of the shift that we made. Okay, thank you.
I have a question on that.
Just one thing, are we ever going to see a snow day for kids where kids can go outside and play? Is this going to be virtual? Because I sure as heck would like to see kids go outside and play on a snow day.
Thursday might be the perfect day for that, because Thursday we may have 10 inches.
That'd be good, because the kids can just go out and enjoy themselves. They've been stuck on looking at a computer and being at home. You let them go and have fun.
I gotcha.
Now that we are doing virtual classes for snow days, are we going to be able to do that moving forward?
Yes.
So next year, the year after, if there's snow, we can do a virtual class and not have to lose a day?
All the pieces we put in place this year were designed and put together specifically so that we could carry them forward, and all the improvements to the curriculum, all the improvements to technology was designed so that we would have permanent improvements to our ability to deliver instruction.
That's great. We won't have to worry about snow days then anymore.
Exactly. We'll just have to do them as days of choice, as Dave referred.
And the year will end as planned then.
That's our hope.
Okay, any other comments?
I have a question. Did nobody call in or ask questions at the beginning of the meeting?
I'm sorry, what?
Everyone tonight who wanted to speak had to come to the meeting, as was the desire of the board to have face-to-face public comment, and we had no public comment tonight.
Well, I think we should allow people to call in, since we are limiting how many can come in, and people would be afraid to come in. So I'm surprised that we did not allow people to call in tonight.
I thought that's why we had it open.
That's exactly what I thought.
I thought that was Kelly, you're the one who wanted it. Wasn't that the agreement, to have people come in instead of phone?
That's why I wanted the public meeting. I don't know what you do if it's a safety concern for somebody that wants to. I don't know in a time of COVID how to handle that.
I think
it wasn't
tonight,
even involved COVID. It's you wanted the meetings to be open,
right?
And as far as that, the phone calls weren't going to be accepted. That's what. Did everybody understand the same thing I did?
Yes, we did.
but I think the problem tonight has to do somewhat with the weather. I think people weren't willing to come out. They may have been planning on coming, but I think with this change in the weather, they probably decided not to. My opinion.
Well, I think someone's upset there wasn't more public comment.
No, I think there would have been more public comment if we left the phones be open, because we're all worried about the COVID, but yet some people would be afraid to come in due to COVID. And some board members do not want to hear the public complain.
Keep it on social media, Ed.
Don't worry, I will.
I know you will.
Okay. Meeting was adjourned.
Let's do that one more time so we get this.
Okay. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody.